If you've seen my unboxing video of the Vivo X90 Pro Plus, you'd have seen that Vivo's checked all the right boxes with respect to cameras. Variety? Check. Largest sensor? Check. OIS? Check, check, and check again. And you'd also have already seen that the images, they turned out excellent. But how do these cameras hold up against something like, say, the latest iPhone? Now that's exactly what we are looking to find out in today's video. Hey guys, Ash here from C4E Tech and let's get started. So first, let's start with the primary cameras. The X90 Pro Plus has the largest sensor on a smartphone today, a 1-inch Sony IMX989. This is a 50 megapixel sensor that's paired with an optically stabilized f1.8 lens. The iPhone 14 Pro Max, on the other hand, it uses a smaller 1x1.28 inch sensor that's paired with the f1.8 lens with sensor shift OIS. Under good light, both cameras shoot great images. The results, they seem more or less similar. Now, if you look at the detail, they are pretty evenly matched. The Vivo, it does tend to brighten up the shadows a little bit more. Personally, I so like that, though you may say the iPhone gives you a more true-to-life look with the shadows. It's especially noticeable in a shot like this. The Vivo image, it looks beautiful, but the plants here, the black wall of the cafe, it all looks more natural on the iPhone. That's what I was actually seeing. Now, yes, this was not shot with the Zeiss natural color profile, but even with that turned on, the color pop's gone, but the image, it still looks more natural. The way it's processed looks more natural on the image shot by the iPhone. Now, in cases like these, I do like the pop that you get on the Vivo. The difference in processing that makes the image shot by the X90 Pro Plus more attractive to me. The iPhone, it tends to keep things more neutral and, like I said earlier, true to life. And once again, when we pixel peep, the detail, there is pretty much no difference between both. Once the light goes down though, there is a difference in detail. When we zoom in, you can see that the Vivo tends to retain more detail. Not by a huge margin, but there is a noticeable difference between images shot by both phones. Now overall, with low light images, I feel the iPhone, it gives you a good night shot. Not a good night shot, a good night shot. As in, you can still see that it's the night. Vivo goes for a more pixel-esque brightening up of everything, like here the leaves and the bushes. What I saw when I was shooting this image, it was closer to what the iPhones captured. Now again, this is just a different way both brands have chosen to go about their processing. Neither one is necessarily better, it's just more of a preference per se. Some people like the darker night shots. Me personally, I like the boost to the shadowy areas. It might not exactly be natural, but it looks nice, right? But then again, that is just my preference. What about you? What do you prefer, Vivo's implementation or Apple's? Leave a comment down below. Now with close-ups, both phones tend to switch to their ultra-wides for macro shots. Here, I feel the iPhone has an edge. The images do look brighter and there is a little more detail. Like just look at the petals here. Now with the ultra-wides themselves, we've got a 48 megapixel f2.2 on the Vivo X90 Pro Plus going up against a 12 megapixel f2.2 on the iPhone 14 Pro Max. Note that the iPhone, it does offer a slightly wider field of view, 120 degrees compared to Vivo's 114. With the images themselves, we see the same kind of differences in colors here too. The detail levels remain more or less similar. That said, there is one major difference, and that is with the dynamic range. Here the iPhone 14 Pro Max shines. Now in this shot, see the sun, see how the area around it is more washed out on the Vivo. Now this is the brightest point of the image. Now when we look at the darkest point of the image, let's zoom into those buildings, you don't really see any major difference with detail levels and the shadows. So this means the dynamic range, that is the range between the brightest and darkest points of an image, it's a little wider on the iPhone 14 Pro Max. Let's now move on to the telephoto, and here we have a 64 megapixel f3.5 on the Vivo going up against a 12 megapixel f2.8 on the iPhone. The sensor size is once again larger with the Vivo. Also, we get a little bit more reach, 3.5x on the X90 Pro Plus compared to 3x on the 14 Pro Max. So here, as you can see, the detail levels are better on the Vivo. That's largely due to the larger sensor and resolution. In this set, if you see the leaves, they do look sharper. That said, the iPhone still has an advantage with dynamic range, which is perfectly noticeable in a shot like this one. The detail in the brightest point, the sky or the bench here, they're about the same. But when we look at the darker areas, the shadows of the trees, you'll notice that there is more detail on the image shot by the iPhone. Now these shots that you're seeing, they were shot at 2x. With the iPhone, what's happening here, it's cropping into the center of the primary sensor, whereas Vivo's gone for a dedicated telephoto camera, a sensor that's paired with a 2x f1.6 lens. The difference is immediately noticeable. Just see the car in the background, you can see that the blur is stronger on the Vivo. Now these images weren't taken with the portrait mode on, so it's not software, it's just natural bokeh. Given the dedicated sensor for these images, it is no surprise that the X90 Pro Plus does do better. With 2x shots, the images are also noticeably sharper. As far as video is concerned, the X90 Pro Plus can shoot 8K, which the iPhone cannot, but at 4K 60, pretty much everything we saw with stills, it holds true here too. As we get the sun in the shot, you can see how the dynamic range differs. Also at times, the Vivo tends to look a little washed out in comparison. So video, I feel, is one area where the iPhone 14 Pro Max gets a clear win despite the lack of 8K. Okay, let's now move on to selfies. Here we have a 32 megapixel f2.5 on the Vivo going up against yet another 12 megapixel sensor, f1.9 this time on the iPhone. The Vivo actually edges ahead with edge detection, no pun intended. Like see this hair standing out on my head? See how it gets blurred on the iPhone whilst it remains in focus with the Vivo? Also the wider field of view, the skin tones, I'd say they're all advantages to Vivo. For selfies, the X90 Pro Plus does manage to do better. With video though, they are pretty close with detail levels, but the footage shot with the iPhone is stabilized and that gives the iPhone a bit of an advantage. So overall, I think Vivo's done a beautiful job with the optics on the X90 Pro Plus. In many scenarios, it manages to match the iPhone 14 Pro Max and even get the occasional win. That said, the 14 Pro Max still has the most balanced set of cameras. It does win in more areas, and wherever it loses, it doesn't lose by a substantial margin. So yeah, great job Vivo, but the 14 Pro Max still holds on to its crown. That is how I see it. What about you? And now before we end this thing, let's jump into a little blind test. I'm gonna put two images on screen. 4 seconds later, I'll reveal which image was shot with which camera, and you try to guess. That was the last one, so how many did you get right? Let me know in the comments. And with that, we are at the end of this camera comparison. Thumbs up, thumbs down based on whatever you felt about it. Subscribe, turn on notifications, hit that bell icon if you haven't yet. Thanks for your time, thanks for watching. Until next time, my name's Ash, you've been watching C4E Tech, and I'm signing off for now. You guys have a great day. Bye-bye.